Dear students, welcome to our today's program. Today we are going to discuss the topic dysfunctions of immune system, in which we'll talk about hypersensitivity, autoimmunity and specific impaired functions in lymphoid and myeloid lineages. The main objectives of today's topic are to have a detailed idea about hypersensitivity, to discuss various types of hypersensitivity, to have a general idea about autoimmunity, and finally to discuss specific impaired functions in lymphoid and myeloid lineage. Let's first talk about hypersensitive reactions. Hypersensitivity, also called as hypersensitivity reaction or intolerance, is a set of undesirable reactions produced by the normal immune system, including allergies and autoimmunity. Although the word hypersensitivity implies an increased response, the response is not always heightened but may instead be an inappropriate immune response to an antigen. Hypersensitive reactions may develop in the course of either humoral or cell-mediated responses. So, hypersensitive reactions or inflammatory reactions within the humoral or cell-mediated branch of the immune system that lead to extensive tissue damage or even death. Several forms of hypersensitive reactions can be distinguished, reflecting differences in the effector molecules generated in the course of the reaction. Now let's discuss the types in detail. First, IgE-mediated type 1 hypersensitivity. A type 1 hypersensitive reaction is induced by certain types of antigens referred to as allergens and has all the hallmarks of a normal humoral response. The term allergen refers specifically to non-parasitic antigens capable of stimulating type 1 hypersensitive responses in allergic individuals. What distinguishes a type 1 hypersensitive response from a normal humoral response is that the plasma cells secrete IgE. This class of antibody binds with high affinity to Fc receptors on the surface of tissue, mast cells and blood basophils. Mast cells and basophils coated by IgE are said to be sensitized. A later exposure to the same allergen cross-links the membrane-bound IgE on sensitized mast cells and basophils, causing degranulation of these cells. The pharmacologically active mediators released from the granules act on the surrounding tissues. The principal effects being vasodilation and smooth muscle contraction may be either systemic or localized, depending on the extent of mediator release. When generated in response to parasitic infection, these mediators initiate beneficial defense processes including vasodilation and increased vascular permeability, which brings an influx of plasma and anti-inflammatory cells to attack the pathogen. On the other hand, mediator release induced by inappropriate antigens such as allergens result in unnecessary increase in vascular permeability and inflammation whose detrimental effects far outweigh any beneficial effect. If we inject a dog with the purified toxins followed later by a booster of toxins, instead of reacting to the booster by producing antibodies against the toxins, the dog immediately reacts with vomiting, diarrhea, asphyxia, and in some instances, death. Clearly, this was an instance where the animal overreacted to the antigen. This unusual response is because of type 1 hypersensitivity. Clinical manifestations of type 1 reactions include potentially life-threatening systemic anaphylaxis and localized responses such as hay fever and asthma. Let's move on to the next one, antibody-mediated cytotoxic type 2 hypersensitivity. Type 2 hypersensitive reactions involve antibody-mediated destruction of cells. A type 2 hypersensitive reaction occurs when antibody reacts with antigenic determinants present on the surface of the cells, leading to cell damage or death through complement-mediated lysis or antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity or ADCC. Antibody can activate the complement system, creating pores in the membrane of a foreign cell, or it can mediate cell destruction by antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity. Hemolytic disease of the newborn is caused by the type 2 reactions. Hemolytic disease of the newborn develops when maternal IgG antibodies specific for fetal blood group antigens cross the placenta and destroy fetal red blood cells. The consequences of such transfer can be minor, serious or lethal. Now moving on next to immune complex mediated or type 3 hypersensitivity. A type 3 hypersensitive reaction is mediated by the formation of immune complexes and the ensuing activation of complement. Deposition of immune complexes near the site of antigen entry can induce an Orthus reaction in which the lytic enzymes released by the accumulated neutrophils and the complement membrane attack complex cause localized tissue damage. The reaction of antibody with the antigen generates immune complexes. Generally, this complexing of antigen with antibody facilitates the clearance of antigen by phagocytic cells. When the complexes are formed in the blood, a reaction can develop wherever the complexes are deposited. In particular, complex deposition is frequently observed on blood vessel walls, in the synovial membrane of joints, on the glomerular basement membrane of the kidney, and on the choroid plexus of the brain. The deposition of these complexes initiates a reaction that results in the recruitment of neutrophils to the site. The tissue there is injured as a consequence of granular release from the neutrophil. Type 3 hypersensitive reactions develop when immune complexes activate the complement system's array of immune effector molecules. The C3a, C4a and C5a complement ciplet products are anaphylotoxins that cause localized mast cell degranulation and consequent increase in local vascular permeability. Systemic lupus erythematosus is an example of this type of hypersensitivity. In systemic lupus erythematosus, complex of DNA and anti-DNA antibodies accumulate in synovial membranes, causing arthritic symptoms, or accumulate on the basement membrane of the kidney, causing progressive kidney damage. Now let's discuss the type 4 or delayed type of hypersensitivity. When some subpopulations of activated T helper cells encounter certain types of antigens, they secrete cytokines that induce a localized inflammatory reaction called delayed type hypersensitivity. A type 4 hypersensitive reaction involves the cell-mediated branch of the immune system. Antigen activation of sensitized Th1 cells induces release of various cytokines that cause macrophages to accumulate and become activated. The net effect of the activation of the macrophages is to release lytic enzymes that cause localized tissue damage. The hallmarks of a type 4 reaction are the delay in time required for the reaction to develop and the recruitment of macrophages as opposed to neutrophils as found in a type 3 reaction. That's why it's known by the name delayed type hypersensitivity. Dear students, now let's move on to the next topic, autoimmunity. Autoimmunity may be defined as an inappropriate response of the immune system against self-components. These reactions can cause serious damage to the cells and organs, sometimes with fatal consequences. Early in last 20th century, Paul Ehrlich realized that the immune system could go awry and instead of reacting against foreign antigens, could focus its attack on self-antigens. He termed this condition horror autotoxicus. Sometimes the damage to self-cells or organs is caused by antibodies, in other cases T cells or the culprit. For example, a common form of autoimmunity is tissue injury by mechanisms similar to type 2 hypersensitivity reactions. Hemolytic anemia is an excellent example of such an autoimmune disease. In this disease, antigens on red blood cells are recognized by autoantibodies, which results in the destruction of the blood cells, which in turn results in anemia. Let's discuss some common autoimmune diseases. First, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. In Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is most frequently seen in middle-aged women, an individual produces autoantibodies and sensitized Th1 cells specific for thyroid antigens. The delayed type of hypersensitivity response is characterized by an intense infiltration of the thyroid gland by lymphocytes, macrophages and plasma cells, which form lymphocytic follicles and germinal centers. The ensuing inflammatory response causes goiter or visible enlargement of the thyroid gland, a physiological response to hypothyroidism. Antibodies are formed to a number of thyroid proteins, including thyroglobulin and thyroid peroxidase, both of which are involved in the uptake of iodine. Next is Goodpasture syndrome. In Goodpasture syndrome, autoantibodies specific for certain basement membrane antigens bind to the basement membranes of the kidney glomeruli and the alveoli of the lungs. Damage to the glomerular and alveolar basement membranes leads to the progressive kidney damage and pulmonary hemorrhage. Death may ensue within several months of the onset of the symptoms. The next disease is insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus. A disease afflicting 0.2% of the population, insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus is caused by an autoimmune attack on the pancreas. The attack is directed against specialized insulin-producing cells, beta cells, that are located in spherical clusters called the islets of Langerhans, scattered throughout the pancreas. The autoimmune attack destroys beta cells, resulting in decreased production of insulin and consequently increased levels of blood glucose. The abnormalities in glucose metabolism that are caused by the destruction of beta cells result in serious metabolic problems that include ketoacidosis and increased urine production. The late stages of the disease are often characterized by atherosclerotic vascular lesions, which in turn cause gangrene of the extremities due to impeded vascular flow, renal failure, and blindness. The next disease is Graves' disease. The production of thyroid hormones is carefully regulated by thyroid-stimulating hormone, which is produced by pituitary gland. A patient with Graves' disease produces autoantibodies that bind the receptor for thyroid-stimulating hormone and mimic the normal action of TSH, activating adenylate cyclase and resulting in the production of thyroid hormones. Unlike thyroid-stimulating hormone, however, the autoantibodies are not regulated and consequently they overstimulate the thyroid, which results in hyperthyroidism. The next disease is Myasthenia gravis. A patient with this disease produces autoantibodies that bind the acetylcholine receptors on the motor end plates of muscles, blocking the normal binding of acetylcholine and also inducing complement-mediated lysis of the cells. The result is a progressive weakening of the skeletal muscles. Ultimately, the antibodies destroy the cells bearing the receptors. The early signs of this disease include drooping eyelids and inability to retract the corners of the mouth, which gives the appearance of snarling. Without treatment, progressive weakening of the muscles can lead to severe impairment of eating as well as problems with movement. Dear students, well, finally, let's discuss specific impaired functions in lymphoid and myeloid lineage. First, we'll have a look at lymphoid lineage immunodeficiency. The combined forms of lymphoid immunodeficiency affect both lineages and are generally lethal within the first few years of life. These arise from defects early in developmental pathways. Defective intercellular communication may be rooted in deleterious mutations of genes that encode cell surface receptors or signal transduction molecules. Defects in the mechanism of gene rearrangement and other functions may prevent normal B or T cell responses. These abnormalities are collectively called severe combined immunodeficiency or SCID-SCID. Recent studies of the cellular and molecular basis of SCID as well as of its genetics allowed immunologists to classify it into three large categories. First being X-linked severe combined immunodeficiency caused by mutation in the cytokine receptor. The common gamma chain is the signal transducing transmembrane protein shared by the receptors for interleukin 2, interleukin 4, interleukin 7, interleukin-9 and interleukin-15. The signal gene that codes for the common gamma chain is mapped to the X chromosome. The immunodeficiency is caused by a recessive mutation in this gene and manifests in the homozygotes or hemizygotes as a greatly impaired lymphocyte maturation. In mice that express this mutation, both T and B cell numbers are greatly reduced. In human recessive homozygotes or hemizygotes, male patients, T cell numbers are severely reduced, but the numbers of B cells may be normal or even increased. Yet, antibody production is severely impaired, especially in responses to protein antigens because of the absence of T cell help. The second is autosomal recessive severe combined immunodeficiency caused by adenosine deaminase deficiency. Adenosine deaminase is an enzyme that catalyzes the deamination of adenosine and 2-deoxyadenosine to inosine and 2-deoxyinosine respectively. If the gene that codes for this enzyme is mutated, deoxyadenosine and its precursors, especially deoxyadenosine triphosphate, tend to accumulate in cells and cause toxic effects. Lymphocytes are more sensitive to adenosine deaminase deficiency than other cells because they lack the capacity to degrade the toxic deoxy-ATP. Therefore, many lymphocytes in patients with adenosine deaminase deficiency do not mature. The numbers of peripheral B and T lymphocytes in these patients are usually normal at birth but decrease precipitously during the first year of life. The third disease is severe combined immunodeficiency caused by other factors. This group includes cases when maturation of both B and T cells is impaired, but its cause is unknown. In some cases of severe combined immunodeficiency, it is suspected that a mutation affects recombination activating enzymes RAG1 or RAG2 genes. In other cases of severe combined immunodeficiency, known under a somewhat fuzzy name reticular dysgenesis, the suspected defect is in these enzymes or other proteins that function very early in maturation, perhaps at the level of hematopoietic stem cells. It is characterized by a complete absence of not only lymphocytes but also myeloid cells and is very rare and lethal. Dear students, finally we'll discuss myeloid lineage immunodeficiency. Defects in the myeloid cell lineage affect the innate immune functions. Most of these defects result in impaired phagocytic processes that are manifested by recurrent microbial infection of greater or lesser severity. Myeloid immunodeficiency causes impaired phagocytic function. Those affected suffer from increased susceptibility to bacterial infection. Several hereditary disorders involve primarily non-specific innate immunity, in particular, phagocytes, inflammatory leukocytes, NK cells, and complement. Chronic granulomatous disease (CGD) is a rare X-linked recessive disorder that manifests in chronic infections with intracellular bacteria and develops because of a mutation or a transcriptional defect in the enzyme called phagocyte oxidase or PHOX91. Since phagocytosis without this enzyme is incomplete, Th1-mediated immune response tends to result in chronic granulomatous inflammation, which is often fatal to the patients. Granulocytes and NK cells are impaired in patients with Chidak-Higashi syndrome, a rare autosomal recessive disease in which leukocyte granules tend to fuse because of a mutation in a cytosolic protein participating in the granule formation. Symptoms of the disease include the appearance of giant granules and giant lysosomes in various cells, albinism, neurological and blood clotting disorders. Complement is the target of various mutations that can lead to abnormalities in both innate and adaptive immunity. The most common genetic defect in complement system, however, the defect in C2 and C4 complement proteins, is not associated with an increased susceptibility to infections, perhaps due to the fact that the alternative complement pathway and Fc-mediated immune functions are sufficient to contain most infections. Well, dear students, I really hope you would have understood today's topic. Thank you.